30 years, 35 years later, now we can revisit all of that stuff. So when we go on tour, which is about to happen, you know
I
what I'm
heard about
saying,
that.
Lindsay?
That's
You know,
word. Congratulations.
we grouped up. We just did the American Music Awards.
Yep.
It was a masterful, you
Yep.
know, and God blessed performance. I wanted to just say, like, the culture, like it's black and it's white. We did that performance with New Kids on the Block, right? The black version, the white version of what we do. Maurice Starr, you
Boston
know,
again.
from Boston, right?
Michael Johnson, Maurice
Listen,
Starr.
he was the man that, the music, right, and some of the vision. The day that we performed with each other or rehearsed with each other for the first time after talking about this moment for almost 30 years, like plus, was Maurice Starr's birthday, yo. Like, that's, you can't design that, right?
It's divine.
You can't design that, it's divine. And now we have the opportunity to have ownership, you know, in the album that he did for us. And, you know, I'm sure they're going after their masters, right? So it's all full circle. If you can sustain and live this long, like we've seen so many people that are not here.
The
you know,
sad thing
along
is,
the
y'all
way.
started at 8 and 9 years old,
Right,
so
right.
you have time on your side that you're able to do this. Think about all the artists that come in 30, 40 years old, pop, and never will get that chance to own. And Benzino, I know you're more on the business side, I mean, and of course you're an artist as well, but like, talk about the business as far as how hard is it for us to own our work?
Well, you know, I mean, you know, like Ronnie said, it's especially when it comes to music. A lot of it goes back to publishing. When you're young, you're not thinking about these things. You really don't have too many people to guide you because you're really not of age to really understand business anyways. But when you throw publishing in, publishing is a real kind of, you know, you really got to know some type level of education on these things, and not too many artists at young ages would know that. You know, publishing is probably the most important thing as far as getting paid from your music.
Residual income, like you
Yeah,
said, man.
you know,
there are
that's
conspiracy
for
theories
years.
that say Michael Jackson, you know, and the Beatles catalog and all of these different things
Elvis,
that he
Eminem.
owned, right?
Yeah.
But go ahead.
No, he's right. I mean, you know, it's the thing with publishing. I remember I went to, it might have been an ASCAP award, and I was sitting there, and I was noticing that they was calling out the artists' names for the awards, but there was like these old white guys going up there receiving the awards, and I'm like, man, I said, that's not the artist who sung the award, but it had a click in me. They own the publishing, and when you're a producer, I produced a couple of songs, and I'm gonna give you an example. I did a song on Nas's album, myself and Jeff 2 Times and JB, rest in peace, who's called The Hangman 3. And we had produced a song, and we used a Stacey Lattisaw sample. So we didn't get paid too much from it because the actual sample from Stacey Lattisaw took up all the publishing. But it didn't even go to her. It went to the people that actually bought her publishing. So, you know, if there's any advice out there to any artist, when it comes to publishing, get a lawyer, and you really don't want to sell off your publishing quick. You know, of course, if you need the money, you have to do what you got to do. People, you know, dangle a carrot in front of you. And a lot of times, you know, it's not really worth it, but you need the money, so what can you do? And that's how they kind of take advantage of artists that don't have anything. That's like, okay, we'll give you a publishing deal, and we'll give you this upfront money, but we'll own a certain percent. And then later on, these songs sell millions, and they're in all kinds of movies and all kinds of products, and, you know, and it's like, man, if I never sold that publishing, I'd be getting way more money now. So it's like a catch-22.
I wanted to ask you about having a daughter who is really making some moves in this generation of hip-hop. We've seen it grow, and I know both you and Ron have talked about just what it's like, this cutthroat industry. What kind of advice do you give her, and how do you guide her?
Well, first I want to shout out to Coi Leray, you know what I'm saying? She's definitely doing her thing. You know, I have four kids, and actually my son, Ray Chavo, he goes by the name of Chavo, he got signed to Universal when he was 9 years old. And of course, Coi is doing her thing now. Very proud of them both. You know, having kids in the industry, you know, I mean, you know, this generation, you know, Coy's generation, Gen Z, they don't, you know, this is the generation that kind of has to learn on their own. They listen, but they kind of, it's almost like they listen, but they kind of have to go out there and experience it. This is the experience generation, you know. They don't listen, I don't think, as much as we did when we came up. You know, my kids are pretty independent when it comes to music. They want to do things their way. And it's only because they grew up in the studio all their life. I mean, I've been around music and studios, man, I'm 56, at least 40 of those years. So they've been around it. I try to give them as much advice as possible, as much advice as that they'll take in. And, you know, without leaning on them too much. You know, I think, like I said, this generation is about kind of finding out on their own, which can, you know, it's like a double-edged sword. It could be good, but also, you know, if there's a pothole and I know the pothole's there, and if I'm telling them, but, you know, it's like, hey, Dad, you know, listen, you know, you're a little bit older, you know, things are different now. So they have to kind of, you know, go in the pothole themselves and climb out. But I'm always here for them. There's not too much I don't know now about the industry and the pitfalls of it. You know, like Ronnie said, it's a cutthroat business. I know the game is made to fool you and take from you. As far as the money side, it's kind of made to take advantage of you. I mean, you hear horror stories of artists all the time, and it's not like it's a big coincidence. It's just designed to, if you don't have the knowledge, then we're gonna take advantage of you.
Now, with the horror stories, I'm just curious. Like, Ron, what were the feelings like when you come back off a tour? There's no money. You're going home to your family. Clearly, you're playing the packed arenas, but you come home with no money. I mean, I feel like you got to be a pretty cold and callous individual. And I know people talk about being shrewd, and we've all seen contracts. But what's that like? What was that feeling like? And what did your family say when you got home?
It's there's levels to it, right? Like you're traveling up to New York City and you're making, you know, $1,500 a show, right? You're going up there initially on the weekends and you're doing 2 and 3 shows at night, starting at 12:30 at night, because the clubs don't pop off in New York City, but we're 15, you know, 14 at the time, right? Friday, Saturday night, we get in the car and go back, $1,500, right? Okay, we're making this thing called per diem, you know, at this point. Like, before that, Mama, you know, can I get $5? Can I get $2? You know, like, that's the level of what you're reaching for. You know what I'm saying? At that age, like, I just want an allowance, you know, every week or whatever that is. So then all of a sudden, per diem, $35 a day is being put on the plate, right? Like, yo, I'm staying in a hotel and I can order shrimp cocktail downstairs, you know, but I'm still making $1,500, $2,500. Like, I'm not even really thinking about that. I'm like, yo, I elevated from $10 a week to $35 a day on the weekends, right?